Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Five Questions with the Paulists. And today we are going to go to Grand Rapids, Michigan, to the Catholic Information Center in the Diocese of Grand Rapids. And a longtime friend, actually, but a new employee of the Paulist, or at least somewhat new at this point. Mark Mann is with us. And Mark, how are you?
I'm well, thanks. Ringing in the new year.
And Mark,
Peace to you.
you're the new director of operations now, and sort of like the COO, I guess, of the information center there, right?
You you could say that. That's not the exact title, but there's the as all other assigned duties. Um, my main title is directing programs and institutes here, and just happy to be here with you. And yes, long time we've known each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's get right into it with question one. What's the vibe like in Grand Rapids right now with Omicron and COVID going on?
Yeah, so it seems to me it's a mixed bag, really. People are exercising some caution, but still living their lives. It's like people have come to accept the fact that COVID's going to be around here for a long time, especially since we're in this second surge, really third. But I mean, numbers are still well above the 490s for daily cases here. So I get people don't wish anyone sick, but they're just not going to let COVID stop them in their tracks. You know what I mean? At least until it does. I've heard people starting to use the word, well, when, not if I get COVID. Um, and and there's still the debates about masks and how effective they are and things like that. So, but if anything, people just want to live their lives in this, whatever the new normal looks like. I say mixed bag though, because our hospital systems were in the national news a few weeks ago. I don't know if you saw that, but completely maxed out, getting some federal assistance. And, our hospital workers are making some of the same decisions or similar to decisions they were making in the spring of 2020, which is kind of scary. We know a lot more now, right? They do than we did back then, but, and that's a help. So if anything, I think the one thing that is missing in the vibe is that kind of overall support. You might remember when everything shut down the first time, that kind of overall support and show gratitude we had for frontline workers. I think we could bring that back, especially for our hospital staffs.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
And so, question two, you were a long time diocesan employee in the Diocese of Grand Rapids before heading to the Catholic Information Center. What's one way that ministry's changed for you, and what's a way it's been more life giving for you at this point?
yeah, thanks. That's a great question. Yeah, I was doing 23 years doing work for the Diocese of Grand Rapids as the Director of Family, Youth, and Young Adult Ministry. And now I'm full on into evangelization efforts and leadership formation and doing a lot more direct ministry with adults. Um, so in a way, some of the things I was doing before hasn't really changed, but certainly one thing that's changed for me is the getting to know, and I've really enjoyed getting to know the community of adults that are involved in the various aspects of ministry here. Um, Everyone just brings such a joy and dedication to the ministry. I get to work with, we actually have 6 teams of different adults that are working to plan and implement the various programs here, whether it's evangelization efforts or the different kind of leadership formation that we do. And just really excited to see what 2022 is going to bring.
Cool. And your commute sort of changed, right?
It did, yeah. So working in the same building that I did before. And so that's definitely one of the perks, shorter commute. I just had to move downstairs to the second floor from where I was upstairs. So
That's great.
that's nice.
Exactly. And so, question three, what's been your favorite comfort food throughout the pandemic?
So we discovered, my wife, Cami and I discovered salted caramel ice
Oh,
cream.
I
And that
love
kind
that.
of became the go-to with whatever toppings we'd come up with that would go with it. And my favorite are those cashew clusters you can get like in the big bags or whatever, and then crunch those up on top of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was definitely the comfort food of 2020 and 2021.
The best salted caramel I have ever had was in St. Louis at one of those places that has the nitrogen
Oh yeah.
uh, that they freeze the ice cream with. That was so
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's great. So, question four: what's one thing that you know about the Paulus now that maybe you didn't before you started to work with them?
So that's also a great question because I've actually known the Paulus for 40 years, 40 plus
Wow,
years.
really?
Going to mass at the Catholic Information Center, participating in programs, and then later on, when I was doing diocesan ministry, working with them on various programs and partnership, collaborating. I mean, again, just one story down, we worked really closely together on various things. Um, but I'd say I have a, and I have a long term, a long time appreciation for their commitment to evangelization, ecumenical dialogue, and reconciliation. But I think what I've gotten a deeper appreciation for since coming to work with, and especially the community that's here right now, um, is their continuing commitment to the viewpoint that the United States is missionary territory, and that each Paulist brings, whatever personal gifts they have, to bring those to bear on sharing the light of faith with others. And they're really steeped in the local, who is the local community here. Um, we're getting ready to celebrate our 75th year next year as the Catholic Information Center here in Grand Rapids, that the Paulists have had some kind of established ministry here. And I found out that it was through the invitation of Bishop Haas at the time for the Paulists to come here. He had met the Paulists when he was in Washington, D.C. And he had them start some of the first inquiry programs, what we call RCIA today, and especially with wanting to reach out to non-Catholic spouses of Catholic spouses in interfaith marriages, because we're still, and that's still the same is true today. Doing my work previously in marriage ministry, 45% of all the marriages here steadily have been interfaith marriages of the Catholic weddings, and we're still a minority here in the West Michigan area, because this is the center for Reformed Church of America and the Christian Reformed Church of America. So I think the opportunity to promote ecumenical dialogue, not just between church leaders, but especially Christian spouses, is still a vital part of the Paulist ministry today.
Yeah, that's awesome. And finally, our last question, question 5, it's the one we ask just about everybody. It's, you're on a desert island. You already have the Bible with you, so you can't choose any books of the Bible. What's one other book that you'd like to have with you?
That is also a great question. I'm a bibliophile. I love reading. My wife and I both do. And I thought of all my favorite books, like Watership Down. And I read Dune back in middle school, so a longtime fan, was very excited for the new movie. But I think when it all, there's the familiar friends, right? But one of my newer friends, if you will, is the poet Mary Oliver. And I think of all the books that if I could only have one book, it would be one of her collected poem books that I have on my shelf. And it's because of her imagery that she has, a lot of nature imagery. My wife and I do a lot of wilderness backpacking. So having that book, if I was deserted and left on an island with only one other thing to read, that would remind me of home. Yeah. The images that she had would remind me of being here in Michigan. So it would have to be the collected poems of Mary Oliver.
Yeah, she's terrific. One of my favorites too. So that's great. So Mark Mann, thanks for joining us. It's been so great having you, and good to catch up. And congratulations on the newish position now. You've been at almost a year now at this point, right?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So good luck. Keep doing the great work of evangelization at the Catholic Information Center.
Will do. Thanks, Mike. Good catching up with you as well.
This has been 5 questions. Yeah, you too. This has been 5 Questions with the Paulist. I'm Mike Hayes. He's Mark Mann at the Catholic Information Center in Grand Rapids, and we'll see you all again soon.